Hey everyone. So, AP just released a 51-page document that has all the information about our online testing this year. So, I don't want to make you comb through that. I know I don't like reading 51-page documents of information, and that's a lot of information. So, I'm just giving you this video to break it all down. And you guys will be filling a Google form out at the end just to check in and make sure that you understand the really big things that are important to know. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking questions, so hopefully this breaks down everything. So before you have a question and email me, watch this video because it'll probably answer it. So, when is our AP Psych exam? Tuesday, May 19th at 1 p.m. It might pop up weird on your AP classroom thing because it might be in like Eastern time. But no, we're in the Midwest. We're Central time. It's 1 p.m. on Tuesday, May 19th. Something since AP just released all this new information is they sent you a confirmation email, and I'm filming this on the 5th. So they sent you a confirmation email on Monday, the 4th. So go back to your email and check, make sure you got it. Because this is important, because if you aren't getting these emails, you might not have the correct email signed up for AP. And then that means you might not get your exam ticket. So let's try and figure that out. So I want you guys to do is go back, look in your email from May 4th, see if you got a confirmation email that gave you your AP ID because you're going to need this to get into the exam and you need to write it on all of your exam documents that you're submitting. So check for that, and it's going to tell you what exams you're registered for. So if you're taking like AP Calc, it should be on there too. So check that. If you did not get this email, don't worry. It's probably because you don't have the correct email you're using right now on there. You can go to AP Student website and you can find your AP ID there. So it'll be okay. 2 days before your exam, you will get your personalized e-ticket to get into the exam. So don't delete that email. That'd be really bad. But again, you can still access it on your AP classroom site. But you'll need the e-ticket to click into the exam. And I'll show you what this looks like. So they'll send you your little e-ticket. It'll say AP Psychology exam. You'll get it 2 days before the 19th. And it'll have your name, your AP ID, and then you'd click to enter the exam. You have to go through that email and get the ticket and click go to exam. And we want you to enter the exam 30 minutes before it starts. That's because you have to fill out information about yourself, and in the exam demo you're doing today, you'll see that. So that way, you're sitting there, you're prepared, and it'll have a countdown clock to when the exam starts. So you can chill, get ready, and then it'll automatically start once the clock expires. So don't share this, don't delete it. Make sure you have it. So if you're someone who's not getting this 2 days before the exam, that's something that you'd want to let me know because that's important. So what to expect on this year's exams? AP said it's not going to be more difficult to get a 3, 4, or 5 this year. They're standardizing it and looking at old exams to make sure it's the same level of difficulty, even though there aren't multiple choice questions. AP exams are never graded on a curve, so it's not different. But one thing to note, like I said, is that they provided extra questions or extra tasks to do in the amount of time that's allotted because they want to prevent cheating. So AP has reiterated this many times that don't stress yourself out if you aren't able to answer all of the questions. That's okay because you can still get a 5 without if you miss a question. So different than years before, in that there's more things for you to do, but that shouldn't scare you because everyone's in the same boat and they're not expecting you to be having perfect answers for everything. But with that, a strategy to do, and this is very important, is go with what you know first. Go with what you know first. Don't spend time looking up things that you haven't heard of before and are like, what the F is this? No. Go with what you know and understand and are confident in. And then at the end, if you have time, you can look back in your notes for something that you're confused on or don't really remember. Or if you haven't heard of it at all. So let's look at our specific AP Psych exam. So I've said this a bunch of times, but it's good to see it together. So your AP Psych exam is going to start. You have question 1, which is the concept application question, which is our typical DEA type question. But since there's so much going on and that there's going to be 8 different things you need to answer, what you should be doing is not really focusing too much on the E, the general example, and have a brief definition, but really hone in on that application. Make sure you're really kind of bringing it full circle, and make sure you're using synonyms. So if the word is correlation, don't say correlation in your application. Say association, connection, relationship, because that will help you sound smart to the reader. So this one's going to be 25 minutes, and this one's going to be the harder one to answer of the two when it comes to timing. So make sure you're being careful of looking at that clock. Then you get 5 minutes to upload. So it's actually going to be a 30-minute clock, and then it'll count down, and you'll see once it gets to 5 minutes, it turns red, and that's when you upload. Okay, so then you uploaded it. You cannot start on the next question if you finish your first question early, so there's no incentive to do that. So take all the time you need on the first question. Then you get to question 2. So everyone's going to start at the same time. And this one's 15 minutes, so the clock will say 20. And then once you get to 5, it'll turn red to indicate that it's your 5 minutes to upload. So this one is research methods, and it has 6 tasks to do, just like we did on the practice yesterday. So 6 kind of things that you're asked to do, and this one has 8, just so you're aware. And that is the research methods one, in which you should still be answering in full sentences. So I shouldn't just see one operational definition is that, or just stating the operational definition without a sentence. I should see the operational definition of the dependent variable is blah, blah, blah. So still answer in full sentences, even if it's not a formal thing like the concept application one. Next, there are 3 ways in which you can submit your responses. So what you can do is you're going to have the prompt up in one window, and then you're going to have another window of a document open, or if you're handwriting it, but we encourage you doing it on the computer. So first way you can do it is you have your prompt up here in one on a little so you have your prompt up here in one window, and then you have your document open in another. So you can type out your document, and then once you're done, you can just copy and paste it into the box that AP has. Or if you want to just attach the document itself without copying and pasting, you can do that as well. Option 3, we're not encouraging, because we don't really have like a graph we're writing or something that we really need to be doing written. I understand that some of you guys prefer handwriting things, so you can do this. I'm just saying it's more work, and there's more room for errors to happen along the way. So what you do is, we don't want you looking at the prompt on your phone because it's difficult. You could be getting text messages, right? That's just distracting. So you'd have the prompt on your computer. You'd write it. You have your prepared note sheet that you're writing it on with your AP ID number and the page numbers and your initials. And then you'd take a picture of it on your phone, email it to yourself, open it up on the computer, and submit. That's extra steps, so just be very wary of that, and that's why we're not encouraging it. Same thing with all these, though. In the document you're submitting, you're going to prepare it ahead of time, so that way you're not clicking on a doc and wasting time. You're going to have the doc ready to go that has your initials and AP ID number and the page number all prepared. So all you have to do is worry about typing, boom, ready to go once the time begins. So again, if you're doing this option 1 and copying and pasting, again, you need to make sure that the AP ID and initials are at the top of your response still. So copy that all together and have it on the doc that you're using. And then make sure that everything's in there, because once you press submit, there's no going back. So if you realize that you forgot part of your response, like it was on the bottom and it didn't fully copy, wah, wah. So like That's why it's 5 minutes long to do that, because you need to be checking. So second thing, attaching a document. Again, on that doc, you need to have it prepared ahead of time. Make your AP ID and initials and page number, and then make sure you're submitting. So again, once you press submit, and if it's not on there or it's not the most recently saved file, do something that auto saves, right? That's probably the best way to go. But make sure it's all there. Don't be that person that says something's attached and then it's not because you forgot. That would be sad. And like I said, option 3, not as encouraged because just more difficult and more room for error. You're going to prepare your paper ahead of time. APID, initials, page number, take a picture, send it to yourself on email, and then attach it on your computer. Big thing with this, though, that could go wrong, again, so that's why we're not encouraging this, is you need to attach all of your pictures. So say your response is, one, you can't have more than 5 photos, so it can't be more than 5 pages. But say your response is like 3 pages long, and then you only submitted 1 and you press submit, the other 2 aren't getting included. You need to attach them all at once before pressing submit. So submit is like do or die. Make sure it's good to go before you press that submit button. There's no going back. So here's an example of kind of putting your APID, initials, and page number. That should be all prepared ahead of time. So these are the steps that AP is telling you to take before exam day. So review your contact info. Just like I said, make sure you're getting that email from the 4th. And if you didn't, go online to your My AP and see if it's the correct email and fix that. Make sure you're knowing how you're going to work on this. So you guys should all be using your Chromebooks, or if you have another laptop or something, or a desktop computer, that's the way to go. Don't be doing it on like a iPad or phone, because that's not the best way. So let us know if you don't have those things and we can fix that for you. Then AP wants you to practice submitting your response. So this is what you're doing in the exam demo today that I put the link up for on our agenda. Gather what you need, whatever. And then 2 days before, make sure you have your exam confirmation and e-ticket. So it tells you can go look at this more in depth, but if you didn't get your email, then go review your contact information. It tells you how to access that. Again, choose what you're doing. Use a computer, don't use a phone. And like I said, prepare your documents ahead of time before the exam. So make sure, whether it's paper or your Word doc or whatever, everything should have your APID number, your initials, and a page number, no matter which of the 3 options you choose. And it should be all prepared ahead of time so you can just boom, go once it gets started. Same thing with the handwritten ones. Okay, then advice from AP about using your resources because it's OpenNote. You are free. They said it's not a lockdown browser, so you guys are free, like I said, to set up your cheat sheets and everything on like a Google Doc. Like I said, I recommend using the Control F function so you can search for something really quickly and easily on there. But be wary if you guys are making a study group or combining resources or using something that I've provided you that has been shared with the whole class. You need to make sure that you have your own copy that is just for you, that it's not shared with anyone else, because this is where it could get in muddy waters when it comes to collusion and working with others. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that all materials you're using are just shared with you in your own copy. So totally fine to use Google Docs and things, but make sure no one else is shared on those, because that's when it would get in that collaboration, and that's when you could get really in trouble. We don't encourage you to use the internet because that could have misinformation. You could accidentally stumble on something where people are working together, and then that could get you in trouble. So make sure you're using putting things in your cheat sheet, because that's easier and you know it's a reliable and trustworthy source of information rather than the internet. So again, do this as your task today to make sure you got this email in addition to doing the exam demo. So AP provided you, if you go to this link, the checklist of the things that I just kind of talked about. So these are the 5 steps we just said. And on here, you're going to write your AP ID number. So make sure you're printing this off because it's really important that you have your AP ID number. That's what you're going to have to type in on the day of the exam. So you need to have that this printed out and next to you so you know what it is. So again, exam day, 30 minutes before it starts. So it starts at 1. You want to be on 12:30, checking in and using your e-ticket where you're going to complete your information about yourself, your name, security information, security questions. And then the countdown clock will begin. Once that expires, automatically, boom, you don't click anything. It's just going to start. And then make sure you're watching down and sorry, this isn't ours because we're not this one. So we're a 2 question. So boom, 25-minute one starts. And then it's going to be a 30-minute clock. And once it gets down to 5 minutes, boom, submit response. Then once all the time's expired, you'll have the 15-minute one, and it'll be 20 minutes on the clock. When 5 minutes remain, you submit. And then you are done. So here's what it's going to look like, and you'll see this. This is what the exam demo looks like that you're doing today. So it's really good practice for you to do that. Enter your AP ID. Like I said, you need to know this. If you don't have it from the email that you got on the 4th, check on your My AP website. So put that in and you can do the demo, and this is how you'd log in day of the exam. So like I said, it's going to have the countdown clock until the exam starts, and then it'll just automatically begin. So this is what it'll look like. Right, so let's say it's question 2, research methods. It's 20 minutes on the clock, even though it's just 15 minutes for the actual responding time. And once it hits the 5-minute mark, it turns red to indicate that now you need to submit. I can't stress enough to watch the clock because if you don't submit it in time, nothing can get scored. There's no one reminding you or like an alarm sound to be like, turn it in now. So you can't have anyone in the room helping you with questions, but they did say you could have like a parent or someone in there to tell you if you're close on time. That's the one thing they did say you could do when it comes to being with other people. So once you submit your response, remember I said it's really, really important to make sure you have everything before you hit submit. So make sure that your full copy and paste is in there and you're not missing anything. Make sure your doc is correctly attached and the most recently saved one. And make sure that you submit all pictures before pressing submit. Don't press one, then submit because you won't be able to submit the others, and that's really sad. Okay, so what could go wrong while you're testing? So if something happens and it crashes, click on your e-ticket to get in. They don't encourage you to refresh the page. They'd rather have you kind of like go out and click on the e-ticket. If something happens and it's like really bad and you lost so much time that like you're not, you're at a deficit and won't be the same, that's when you can contact them after the exam. Don't call them. Just sign up. You'll kind of email them and sign up for a makeup time. So don't worry. It'll be okay if something happens because you could potentially do the makeup time in June. All right, so exam security, again, the major thing that I want to reiterate is that it's open notes, you guys. So just prepare ahead of time and use your resources, right? It's awesome that you can do that. But you cannot work with anyone. You can't phone a friend, big no-no. So you cannot be texting or calling or in the same room as a friend working together because AP hasn't even told us what all their security protocols are because they don't want us knowing and telling you so you can prepare ahead of time of how to cheat. The consequences are really, really serious when it comes to this. College Board that runs AP is connected with everything with SAT, with sending things to colleges. So 1, your AP scores will be canceled. You can't retake it. 2, all the colleges that you've applied to that you're sending scores to previously are going to get a notification saying that you're a cheater. You don't want that on your resume when you're applying to colleges or at a college that you're a senior and you already got into and you're happy. Like, just don't do that. There's so many other ways that you can be successful that there should be no reason you're collaborating with other people. All right. That was a lot. One last thing I want to note is make sure you don't have Grammarly installed, because for some reason it doesn't work with the AP exam format and it won't allow you to like get into it. So you actually need to disable Grammarly before you get in. They're not deducting points on grammar. As long as they understand what you're saying, you're good to go. So that was a lot of information, but you guys got this. We're going to get through it, and we are going to chill and watch some movies after the AP exam, and it'll be great. So keep grinding it out. Rock on and fill out that Google form to make sure you're understanding kind of the main things.